Welcome back to the Varkha Cholani channel. Today is the day of continuing to build emotional muscle. If you recollect, in my last episode of continuing to build emotional muscle, I spoke about the social aspects in the biosocial bedrock of our personality, which is nothing but the belief system. The bio being the biological propensities and tendencies that you and me are born with, and the social learning being the learnings that take place because of the communities, the societies and the families that we are born into. They come together to form the bedrock of our personality. If you recollect, I also spoke about the aspect of chance taking place in the families that we are born into. What did I mean? Chance determines which families you and I are born into. And because of that chance, we are born into families which practice certain religious practices. I also spoke about superstitions. Superstitions are nothing but learned beliefs. They are also propagated by the cultures and societies that different people get born into. I spoke about us hanging a limbu and mirchi, wearing certain gemstones, etc., etc. A superstition is nothing but a causation between unrelated events. Today I want to elaborate a little more on the belief system. Synonyms for belief systems are worldviews, attitudes, philosophies of living. And if you remember, I gave my own example. I spoke about myself and described how I was born into a family which was by and large atheist in its practice with leanings towards humanism. I learned humanism as a philosophy of my life. Because of that philosophy, an ideology emanated about God. My basic philosophy of life was God doesn't exist. I'm going to talk about this in the example of philosophy of living because I want to elaborate on how philosophies of living help us to make certain choices and of course to not make certain choices. Again, I go back to my example. So my philosophy is God doesn't exist. Let's see how that shapes every decision of mine that I've been making in the past and will continue to make. When I got married, I chose a registered wedding because my philosophy that God doesn't exist allowed me to go down that path. I did not need any God to bless me on my special day to make it any special. Then when my daughter was born, it didn't really matter to me what time of day she was born. I didn't go scrambling to check the time that she was born. It didn't matter to me which alphabet I needed to pick to name her. I didn't even require a priest to make any horoscope. The philosophy God doesn't exist took me towards that path. When we had to choose a school for my child, because of my philosophical leanings, I obviously did not want a school which would suggest or propagate any religion or any religious scriptures. The choice of the school was made on the basis of the ethics and the principles it would bring my child up with. When it came to casting a ballot, I obviously would choose a secular party, even if it came to charity. Do you think I would donate my hard-earned money towards any religious group? Obviously not. What happens when I die? I have already given instructions to my family to not mourn my dying over 12 days and do some rituals or religious practices which will send my soul to heaven. In fact, I have asked not to be cremated at all, and I would like my body to be donated to medical school for the students to learn. Can you see that one philosophy, God doesn't exist, allows me to choose how I would marry? It didn't really matter when and at what time my daughter was born. It didn't matter what alphabet I needed to pick to name her. The school choice which was made for her to attend was not dependent on any religious propensity or group that the school propagated. On the contrary, it was quite the opposite. My donation and the social and charitable work that I wanted to do would have no religious leanings, and of course eventually in my death I would only donate my body. Why am I talking about philosophy of living? Because whether you know it or not, philosophies of living determine the choices that we make or do not make, and it is very important for all of us to understand what philosophies, worldviews, attitudes, ideologies we have subscribed to and what they do in our living. We have philosophies of various things. The example that I gave of myself was only a philosophy vis-a-vis religion. But we have philosophies about money, we have philosophies about love and romance, we have philosophies about parenting, we have philosophies of how our children should grow up, how the world should be. There are multifaceted philosophies that you and me subscribe to. And it is important for us to know the philosophies that we live by, because they are a gateway to how we will live and continue to live the rest of our lives. More of philosophy of living in my next episode of Continuing to Build Emotional Muscle. Please continue to subscribe to the Varkha Cholani channel. If you like what you see, please do hit the like button, and of course, do share my video. Until next time, it's goodbye. Thank you.